Hello, today's session is about scripts. We are going to learn how to use scripts in MSW and the concept of scripts in simple terms. It's going to be slightly more difficult than the previous sessions since this session involves actual script coding. The upcoming sessions are going to be conducted under the assumption that you are comfortable with scripts, so I recommend you familiarize yourself with scripts. Okay, so how do you write a script in MSW? So there is a programming language called Lua, and in MSW, we use a language that supports most Lua syntax combined with the MSW exclusive syntax. So let's start by looking at how to code. First, in this workspace panel, there's a folder named My Desk, right? You can create your own script in this folder by clicking right and selecting this, or you can just simply click this plus button right here, create scripts. And under create scripts, there are create components, create event type, item type, BT node, logic script, etc. And the one which is used the most often is create component. And occasionally, create logic is used, and create script is rarely used because it's very simple and does not support many functions. So it's not recommended for complex things, but for now, I'll use this create script because we're just going to test a sample and explain it to you guys. And I'm going to name the script my script. And when I double click it, a script editor will be opened. And now I can write scripts here however I want in this blank sheet. Before going into the details of syntax, let's run a quick test. Usually, the first thing we do when learning a programming language is to type in hello world. So in Lua, we're going to use the log function to type hello world and press play. I feel like the font size is a bit small, but I hope you can see it, see what I'm doing here. Hello world. And press play. Okay, here. You'll see hello world in this window. And this window is called console panel, remember? There are actually two hello world printed out, but just ignore them for now, and you will understand why this happens when you learn about networks in the next session. So in most cases, basically programming has a sequential structure characteristic. A sequential structure means that row 1 is executed first, here, row 1, then row 2, then row 3, then row 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. So this is a sequential order. So when I write something here and something else here, the letter does not get executed until this former is executed. So that's basically the general rule, and it doesn't vary much from this. And with programming, there is also something called repetitive statements. In Lua, repetitions are controlled with for or while loop here. And let me quickly explain what for statements do. I'm going to write a statement to repeat a variable count from 1 to 10. 1, 2, I'll just give them a variable called number, loop from 1 to 10. And I'm going to make this count increase by 1 at a time. So I'll just change this to count. From 1 to 10, it will be incremented by 1. Then you need to put do at the end and enter. So this is like a semicolon in C or Java. And so you can see that most programming languages support repetitive statements, although they may have a slightly different form. And right here, I'm going to print count. So I'm guessing the output going to be 1 to 10 in order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see if that's correct. Okay, I'm going to move this to the side here. Yeah. So my guess was right. 1 to 10, right? So that's how we use iterations. And the reason we use repetitive statements is this. For example, if I were to raise this count number by 1 at a time without using the for loop, I could just do this log 1, log 2, log 3, and change this number to 3, 4, 5, and say 10. Yeah? But I could do this. I could like copy and paste. And this is going to work fine, except that this is harder to control. We need to put in the same code every time we want to use it. So in the aspect of efficiency, it's very bad. So I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to use our efficient for loop. Let's apply this in somewhere else. I'm going to write a function that adds 1 through 10. So you'll need a sum function for now here. Local sum. This is to set a variable sum to 0. And this time I'm going to say that sum equals sum plus count. So every time a number like 1 through 10 goes in here, and it will become the sum. And every time I'll try to print out what the sum is. Okay? So you can see that numbers through 1 to 10 will go into here and be added to sum. So at last, this variable sum will have a sum of all numbers from 1 to 10. So it's 55, right? Let's see if we really have 55 here. Oh, yes. So first, there's 1, and you add 2, you add 3, you add 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you got 55. So this is basically how to use a repetitive statement. Next, let's look at conditional statements. Basically, output is going to vary depending on the condition. So conditional statements in Lua are if and if else, if else, and else if statements. Else if, yeah. So the basic syntax is if and then the condition here, then action right here. Okay, so let's try to apply this concept in our repetitive statement right there. So if you wanted to add up only even numbers, I would write this if condition here and say count will be divided by 2 and yields a remainder of 0, which means it's an even number, right? And then is the syntax here. You have to write then enter and put the sum plus count right there, because we will add it only when the count here is an even number. So if it's an odd number, we won't add it to the sum variable. Okay, let's see what we'll get here. Okay, we got 30. It's because we started from 1, but it was an odd number, so we didn't add it. Then we add 2, an even number, and skipped 3, but added 4, then added 6, and skipped 9, and added 8. 6, 8, and 10. Yeah. So that's how you got 30. To summarize, programming follows a sequential order from 1 to 3, yeah? And you can combine conditional statements and repetitive statements as much as you want. And if you want to learn more about programming, there are a lot of referential resources available in the internet. So you can find them. And today, the session was more about programming characteristics of MSW. So we'll continue to do that. And although I demonstrated in this Create Script menu, this is rarely used, like I said, so you don't have to know more about the script. Now, let's take a look at logics, which is closer to scripts, and see what they are.